The very beginning of 2025 wasn't entirely awesome for mystery series, but hey, it's no longer the first week. So how does the Swedish Netflix limited series The Breakthrough fare in quality? After a double murder sends shockwaves through a quiet Swedish town, lead detective John promises the grieving families that he will find the killer. So I'm liking the fact that we are beginning to see a small increase in the number of limited and miniseries rather than drawn-out seasons that typically end in cancellation. The Breakthrough, it's only 4 episodes, and they last just as long as the story needs. They range between 35 and 42 minutes, and they tell the story of the second largest criminal investigation in Swedish history, at least according to the series' opening titles. Now, the show begins in 2004 and almost immediately thrusts us into the crux of the case, a double homicide on a quiet street. And while the violence isn't explicitly shown, we see enough actions to have just this vivid picture painted in our minds, complete with visceral sounds and some terrible movements. Now, the story revolves around lead detective John and his inexhaustible search for the killer. We don't get a ton of background on him, but we do get small insights into his family life as well as a bit into his past. Now, him remaining a stranger to us isn't necessarily a negative in this series because the interest lies in the procedures and the drama surrounding the search for the killer. We get even less information on John's colleagues. I mean, we understand they have a kinship from working together, but outside of that, we're just seeing other detectives. And I don't even know if they were given names. That's how unimportant they are for the overall arc. The first 2 episodes focus on 2004 and the investigation as the cops work to collect DNA to hopefully match any potential evidence they find. And this is where the entire storyline really rests. It's about the use of genealogy and lineage research collected from mass amounts of DNA to hopefully narrow down the list of suspects. Now, there's a moment that's almost a blink and you miss it sequence that gives us a rather large time passage, jumping us way ahead into the future, or really just more closely to the now present. Unbelievably, the case goes unsolved for way longer than anyone expected when John is turned on to then this genealogical aspect. While he's very standoffish but empathetic, he's still stiff and a little too driven by the case, meaning he just forges ahead and tramples over others in his pursuit. And then we're introduced to Per, a genial and knowledgeable guy who's the expert in tracing lineages through DNA. Now, Per carries a lot of the heart for the series, giving us a warm character to root for, even though we should be rooting for John simply because of his noble pursuit. Now, the dynamic the story sets up between Per and John, I thought it was excellent. There are personality conflicts, ideological differences, and even the showdown of stubbornness. All of these make for engaging dialogue exchanges and tense dramatic sequences. They both also have a sort of compulsion that can't be satisfied until the puzzle is solved. And while the show doesn't outright say that for us, we're shown through clever character moments and discussions, keying us into mindsets so they are introduced naturally through the storytelling rather than awkwardly forced in just through exposition. Now, the parallels between the duo create a productive but also dysfunctional pairing, thankfully increasing the drama rather than causing annoyance at their exchanges. Now, the pacing for the show starts fast and then it mellows a bit, but never loses the urgency of the storytelling. I mean, it's not rocketing us through the plot either. As the final 2 episodes arrive, the suspense increases dramatically. It's like we can feel the conclusion is coming, and the story then also introduces a race against time. This deadline, it's tangible, and it can have drastic consequences for the case, so every moment we watch past, it's a bit nail-biting. Now, I love that the series contains some surprises within the mystery. There are some misleading elements that are given to us, not to intentionally misdirect, but just as a natural course of the events. I mean, complications arise that then raise questions and even caused a bit of irritation for me towards this specific character. Now, I know that's quite vague, but you should get the opportunity to question a few things as it goes along, just like I did. Now, at one point, we're introduced to Per's daughter. Sort of introduced to her, I say. There's a ton more of her character that we are not shown of or informed of, even though we're shown her behaviors. Now, I'm not quite certain why we get concerted focus on her at times if the story is going to keep her so shrouded in mystery. And the only thing I can think of is that her inclusion is to show the difference between Per and John and the way that they handle family situations. And it's not like these small tangents ruin the storytelling, but I did find it a little bit unnecessary. There's also a lack of detailed information on Per's process. Now, maybe there's a small disconnect between what the characters say in Swedish and the English subtitles, but I found his work to be fascinating, even though I was a little frustrated that I wasn't getting as much info as I'd prefer that would really entrench me in his method. I mean, it's a massive puzzle, and I love that we get to watch him pore over details and lists of names. But how he connects them ultimately, it left me feeling ignorant. So while I could understand if he succeeded or not, I wouldn't know how he ultimately narrowed things down to such a degree. Now, I do appreciate how the story is able to create dramatic tension despite having many strangers within the characters. The crime is horrific enough to be sympathetic to the victims' families and also the search for justice, while allowing us to feel the disappointment when any leads fail to materialize into anything actionable. Now, from a historical standpoint, this is a fascinating story, taking tragedy and highlighting the enduring pursuit for truth while also showcasing a new form of investigation along with the moral and legal dilemmas that arise from it. The acting is engaging, creating characters we may not know a ton about, but still can be drawn by their demeanor and passion. The limited series uses its time effectively, maintaining the urgent stress of an investigation mixed with slower drama that tugs at emotions, all then working together to present a story that begins with savagery and concludes with hope. This was a captivating mystery. I think it was going to keep you riveted. There's no sex, very brief nudity, a lot of profanity, and some violence. I give The Breakthrough 4.5 out of 5 couches. So what are you looking forward to streaming in the coming weeks? I'd love to hear what's on your list in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.